Imagine we got that in the NFL. That would be pretty crazy.
Huh?
Anyways, guys, this position, they got some crazy guys like that. That's all I'll say. Let's get linebacker. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fun NFL. Please like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoy the 2025 NFL linebacker rankings. It is the final position we will be going through on defense. Again, this is a position that is very, very important in the defense. It's a very flexible position, which is why I mentioned some other guys in the edge rushers, just a few of them. They'll be really talked about in depth here because this is really their natural position overall. With that said, though, if you have not watched other defensive position tier rankings, go ahead and do that. I give you guys all my opinions on all these players, and I put them in these creative tiers that I've acclimated. With that said, though, we got a bunch of the more known players. That's probably the best way to put it. Again, talking fantasy, I'm not gonna be ranking in terms of PPR or anything like that. That would be for a fantasy channel. Who knows? Maybe we'll be starting that next year. Anyway, though, the tiers for the linebackers, no one knows the tier where I'm like, I don't even care at this point with them. It's not always a bad thing. You're just gonna have to know that. But at the same time, that there's gonna be bad players that go in there. That's just kind of how it works. But at the same time, if I don't really think they're like they're not gonna play a lot, we'll see what happens. Kind of like with the edge rushers. But I think this is definitely a little bit more cut and dry. Liability. These are guys who are gonna be on the field probably, but you don't want them out there. It's not good for your team. Shaky. These are guys that. They're not the greatest. They're probably going to get picked on a little bit. They can tackle. This is the bare minimum for a linebacker at the end of the day, guys. If they can tackle, that's a start. Dense, these guys, the only reason I say it's dense is because if we think about a solid linebacker, they're good at their jobs. They're just not really the best. It's probably because they can stop the run. That's really what they're going to be. They're like, think of like those, who do I even use for this? Roquan Smith, if Roquan Smith wasn't really good. That sort of thing. Reliable. These are the guys you can count on to do a lot of things for your defense. They might not be the most dynamic per se, but they're guys you can really put the onus on at the end of the game to close things out. Not in terms of pass rush, but you get the point. They can actually cover. The most linebackers that are going to be in this tier can actually cover. That's really the only reason I put it. Some of them won't be able to, but like you'll see. And then big play machines. Again, when you get to these high level linebackers, what really separates them is the fact they are more dynamic than anyone else, as well as being reliable. And then we got limitless. There's probably like 2 or 3 guys to put in here. These are guys you can put in a lot of different situations. There's a lot they can freaking do, and it's just so hard to find guys that are like that these days. With that said, we're starting out with who I don't even know. We got Matt Milano. We got, who is this? I'm just not. It's not common. But we got it's not Terrell Bernard. It is Terrell Bernard. Terrell Bernard for me is a reliable linebacker. He's a guy who can cover pretty well, not on any extreme level, but can cover pretty well. And is able to do a lot of things in terms of setting up run fits that a lot of these other linebackers really wouldn't be able to get to just because of the fact that in zone coverage, they're not as responsible as he is. He's a very reliable player. I think he belongs there. Matt Milano, for me, is going to go into probably they can actually cover. I'm not saying he's a great color linebacker, even he's getting a little bit older, but he's a guy who can do a lot of different things. The reason I don't say he's a big play machine is because I don't think he is that dynamic as maybe we saw before. He had those injury issues in 2022 and 2023 at the time, but when he's been on the field the past couple years, he has been obviously very, very good, just maybe not to this level, especially last year overall. I liked his adjustment, though, and I don't even know who's this other guy in the Bills. It's something Williams, right? Maybe? No, I'm joking. It's Dorian Williams. Dorian Williams had a really solid season last year. I'm going to put him in dense, though, because he still looks a little bit shaky in coverage. More man than anything, especially against these faster tight ends. He definitely looks a little bit, again, a small fish in a big pond sort of thing. But at the same time, he has really stepped up for them, and he's really become a huge sub linebacker for them. Outside of that, though, we can move over to this Dolphins team. Tyrel Dodson, former member of the Bills, is going to go right next to Terrell Bernard. They're very similar players in the fact they are asked to do a lot, and they're able to do a good job with that. Tyler Dodson's a little bit different, though, because you can definitely play him a lot more middle linebacker because of the fact that he's a little bit more rangy. The biggest issue with him, though, is he's not the most physical, and there's games where he definitely struggles to take on blocks, and those issues definitely emerge a lot more. They emerge a lot more against these big offensive lines that really are able to kind of like get downhill on him, but outside of that, guys, he's fine. Like, he's really good. And then we go to Willie Gay. Willie Gay, for me, is probably going to go in dense. I think he's a little bit too talented, really overall and athletically, to be put anywhere lower than that. But there are games where he's like, yeah, he's not the greatest player in the world. Isn't Jordan Brooks on the Dolphins too? Something like that. He's going to go unreliable as well. He's just not good in coverage. We all know that. Which, again, you could probably put him down at Dents, but he's such a good run defender, and he's a really responsible tackler overall, even on a really high volume with a pretty decent high missed tackle volume. It really doesn't matter because of the fact that, again, he's such a good run defender. And, again, there's just not a lot of other players in the league that are able to, make tackles at the level he's able to. Again, that gets a little bit of an overrated stat. Are just completely misleading, but especially for him and on tape, again, he's really just very good form. And again, there's really nothing else to talk about him because, again, even in coverage, he's very limited. We know that, but which again, you could probably put him here for that reason. But again, I think he's kind of like Foyce Aluakon before he got injured last year. To that extent, they're very close there. This is Jamin Sherwood. Jamin Sherwood for me is gonna go unreliable as well. The really only difference between him and a guy like Jordan Davis is they're kind of like flipped roles in a little bit of ways because James Sherwood was estimated a lot of tackles in the open field and really cover guys underneath, while a guy like Jordan Brooks really isn't asked to do that. I will say in zone, though, he's a little bit limited just because of the fact that I don't think he has natural instincts, which is a big issue with me with him. But outside of that, again, still a decent tackler. Against the run, he really isn't asked to do as much, which I think is decent. But again, in the role he's in is big. Quincy Williams, my bad, is probably limitless. He's one of those guys that you just simply can put in a lot of different spots and he'll make a lot of plays. And even then, he will be a guy that's going to be guaranteed to make at least 10 plays a game. Or make a 10, at least be in 10 spots where you're like, that saved you, or put your defense in a better spot. He's one of the most dynamic linebackers in football. And again, there's a lot of, again, he's one of the, at least top 5 at the very least. CJ Mosley probably for me is going to go in big play machines. Again, he's not always a guy that's going to maybe make that game-changing play by any means, but at the same time, he's going to make so many big plays for you. And he's just a true leader on the field, and especially after last year, which a lot of people still think he's underrated. The past 3 years, he's been one of the best linebackers in football, guys, like truly elite. Jamin Davis for me is shaky. I don't think he's complete liability because he still can get out there and make plays for you, but the problem is he just simply does not adjust well at all, and he's just a straight-up reactive player. And the fact that, again, that's the case with him, and frankly with the Commanders, they realized that pretty early with them, it's really hard for you to see him becoming any more than maybe a decent depth option. And even that's probably a little bit on the higher side just because, again, he doesn't react well whatsoever. Now we're on to Jelani Tavai, and who else do we have on the Patriots? Christian Ellis, maybe? Yeah. I don't know why Robert Spillane is over here with the... Where's Robert Spillane? He's with the Packers, right? What are you doing over there, bro? Like, no, that would be Luke Masterson, right? I don't know where Robert Spillane's at. We'll get to him eventually. I think that... I swear that is him, though. Who do we got here? I think that is Robert Spillane. There's Luke Masterson. No, it is Robert Spillane. Robert Spillane, what are you doing, bro? We'll start with him. Robert Spillane for me is dense. He's a solid tackler. Not really much more, though. He's had at moments where he's been able to cover pretty well, which, again, it shows a little bit of his versatility. But overall, he's not really excelling in either part of the game, as well as the fact that in terms of his anticipation, that's never been much more than below average, to be honest with you guys. Christian Ellis, for me, he is also dense. He just doesn't give you much in coverage, to be honest with you guys. That's what you're going to get with him, to be honest. Jelani Tavai for me is going to go and they can actually cover because he actually is able to. Again, I understand when we look at his time with the Lions, he really struggled with that. But since coming over the Patriots, they've kind of found a fine-tuned role for him where he can really succeed as all on being on the fact that he's able to, be in the open field where he actually has gotten so much better. Jelani Tavai is a very good linebacker. Who do we got here? Is this Demetrius Knight maybe? I don't think. Yeah, they drafted 2 guys, right? It was Demetrius Knight and what's his name? I'm just not remembering. Yeah, Barrett Carter. For me, Demetrius Knight as a rookie, I think he can tackle. That's really what he's going to be asked to do. Again, he's an experienced guy. He was in college at South Carolina. There were a lot of games where he was asked to really kind of trail the running back and contain him. He will be able to do that, but at the same time, he's just not going to really give you much in coverage. Barrett Carter, I think, will be shaky as rookie if he gets on the field. He just doesn't really look too comfortable just yet. And also in this defensive system he's going to be in, I wouldn't even say it's the scheme that's the issue. It's just the fact that he doesn't always understand his reads or his cues, which are things that he's going to have to just learn and I wouldn't say memorize, just get used to before he can actually become anything of an effective player. Then this is Logan Wilson. Logan Wilson for me is a big play machine most of the time, but I got to put him in they can actually cover just because of the fact that his playmaking has kind of been a little bit on the downturn the past couple of years, but despite still being a very good linebacker, this is Oren Burks. Oren Burks, but Logan Wilson's really good. Oren Burks probably they can tackle. I think this is a little bit of maybe an underrated part for him, but just the fact that, again, he doesn't make too many plays on the field and really never wows me on tape to go anything higher than this. Carson Schlesinger. This is a guy who is probably going to be the most impactful linebackers rookie if I had to guess, just because of who he is and the defense he's in. But realistically, right now, I think I just got to put him in Dens because he's going to make a lot of mistakes. But that might be glossed over just because of how he can make plays for sure. This is Jordan Hicks. He's like 50. He can still tackle, but he's really nothing more than that. He's just a complete donut in coverage, kind of how it is. This isn't a bad thing by any means, guys, if they can like kind of the bare minimum, but he's just an average linebacker at this point. Again, I like the fact he's still with this team and playing the league, doing his thing, but like at the end of the guys, he's not that good. And there's a lot of guys we're going through here. Jerome Baker, he's also going to go there. He's just not really valuable in coverage these days, and even against the run, he's not always the most consistent. Who else do we have? I think this is Muhammad Diabate, if I'm not mistaken. He is shaky. He didn't do terrible as their starting linebacker for most of last year, before, again, with JOK getting injured. But again, there was just something missing there, obviously. But on top of that, again, he didn't really do much for them in terms of kind of advancing their game to kind of like make up for some of the other laps they had, on top of the fact that he had his own struggles towards the end of the year as well. So just not a great season for him overall. Devin Bush is a liability. We all know that he's just not a good player. I think this is Shaq Thompson, right? Is it? I don't think he is. Wait. Shaq Thompson, I think he's on the Bills now, right? Shaq Thompson, I think at this point in his career is probably a dense linebacker. It's just the fact that, again, I think he can still play pretty decent on both sides of the ball. But I like where he is with these guys, just because again they're definitely a little bit more limited now. But again, with the injuries he's had, I don't really know what to truly expect out of him, especially since he's, again, like I said, older. JOK coming off his injuries, probably, you know what? I think I'm still going to stick him in this tier. Last year when he played, he didn't really look as dynamic. Is that the best way to put it? Last year, he still looked pretty similar in terms of the instincts. And again, we saw how good he was in 2022 and 2023. But again, the injury is definitely a little bit of a concern. But again, when he's on the field, guys, he's one of the most dynamic linebackers in football. This is Roquan Smith. He's going to go right into the top tier. Again, he's probably the best run defender in football, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. He's so big. He's so physical. He's so not fun to have to play against. And, outside of some coverage issues sometimes, he's just about as good as it gets. Trenton Simpson was a liability last year. I'm going to put him in shaky, though, because he looks a little bit better. What is this? Malik Harrison. He can tackle. That's pretty fair to say. Getting solid backup. Peyton Wilson, for me, he's really reliable. I'm actually putting him, they actually can cover, because he's one of those rare linebackers that has actual speed and is able to keep up with some of those, even slot receivers at times, which sounds crazy, but he can do that. On top of the fact that he's very opportunistic. Again, I think he could definitely emerge into a big play machine. He had a really good rookie year, and I'm really surprised what he was able to do. Who else they have? This isn't Cole Holcomb, though. He's their third string. I don't even know if I put him on here. I think I did, though. I don't know where Patrick Queen went. No, there he is. This is Cole Holcomb. Cole Holcomb is dense, but I'm going to say they can tackle because he just hasn't really been anything more than just a straight-up liability in coverage the past couple of years, to be honest with you. Not like a fish on land or anything, but like just the point where he just can't really keep up with guys in the open field. But again, at the same time, he does do a decent job in the open field in terms of against outside zone. So again, that's part of the reason he isn't starting, because again, like talk with the coverage issues. But outside of that, you can work with it. Patrick Queen's weird because he's just not that fantastic. I think I'll put him in they actually can cover, though, because he's still a really good linebacker. Again, I understand he might not be – he played, like, probably towards this level last year. But, again, I think, like, again, him not being at the same level is a little bit overblown. He still had a really solid year. And I think, again, him being a they actually can cover guy a little bit more than just a reliable guy, I think, is where he sits. Because at the end of the day, his floor is probably around here. He's not going to make too many mistakes. But I think there's definitely a little bit more to his game most of the time. Who do we have first? I think this is Zaire Franklin. He's reliable. He's a really solid tackler in coverage. He'll give you at least a decent bit of stuff just because of the fact that, again, in zone coverage, he seems to simply just be very responsible with his, what is it called, decisions. But at the same time, there's definitely plays, especially against, like, let me think back to the Giants, where he definitely had, like, blown coverage in man, and that's just something that most of these guys, especially him, though, have to work on. EJ Speed's definitely a better cover guy, a little bit more responsible, but he's definitely just going to go and reliable because there's definitely something, aspect of physicality and just that impact that's missing in his game. But outside of that, like, again, he's a pretty reliable guy. And I don't even know who's the last guy I threw in here because it's not really ideal for the Colts here. Sugan Olubi. He's not terrible, but guys, we all know I guess he can tackle. I mean, he hasn't really had any issues with that with me. Foyese Olukong's a weird guy. For me, I'm going to have to stick him in reliable because, again, that's at the end of the day what he's going to be. But again, the injury last year and the fact that he really was just terrible in coverage last year is a little bit of an issue. But he's still one of the best tacklers in football. And again, he's just simply always near the ball, and that's, again, with a linebacker, really what you're going to want at the end of the day. Devin Lloyd for me is gonna go right next to Foyce Lukong. He could, I'm putting him in thinking he can cover. He had a solid season last year overall. He was really just cleaning up everything for that defense, and he actually showed some sort of growth in coverage, which was good. I think we got Dennis Gardick here as well. For me, he's got a little bit to his game, but I'm gonna throw him in dense because he's not really that much reliable, and he's more of a pass rusher at the end of the day. That's where That's where the value is. I guess we got Yasir Abdul, whom I'm excited to watch this year. I think he'll have a good year. But at the moment, there still isn't. We haven't really seen enough for him to be anything more than just dense. But at the same time, like I said with Dennis Gardick, he's more of a passer. Sure, there's definitely versatility to his game, but I don't really think at any point he's going to be higher than this at the linebacker position at least. Henry 202 had a really nice year. I'm going to put him in reliable just because of the fact that there were a lot of games last year where he was really the only guy in that defense that was really holding the fort down against the run at times. But outside of that, again, with the pass rush he has, I think he gets a little bit lucky with his pass rush woes at times, or pass coverage. But he's also a guy who can average something as a blitzer. And speaking of that, guys, when I talk about in terms of their playmaking, that's really just, it's mostly blitzing as well as the fact that, again, they're opportunistic play. And also, again, if they can force fumbles and stuff like that. But, yes, blitzing is a big part of the linebacker's job. But at the same time, again, most of these guys can do it decently. Again, I'll really highlight if I need to. Again, Henry 202 does a good job with that. Who is this? Who do we got here, bro? This is EJ Speed. I'm very confused. Then who did I put in for EJ Speed? I think I did this dude. Who are you? Jalen Carles. He is a guy that is going to go right and shaky because that's what happened when I watched him last year. Did not look too reliable out there, but at the same time, like you can work with that guy because he has pretty good athleticism, and there's he does have pretty natural instincts. He does find his way to the football pretty consistently. We got Azeez Al-Shaair and Kristen Harris. Again, a lot of people aren't going to like this, but Azeez Al-Shaair when he's on the field is going to be a good player. But I got to put him in dense just because of how freaking big of an idiot he is. And there's games where he makes really dumb plays. Not only like that, but like in like coverage, he just completely just blows up an assignment, thinking that what he's gonna do is okay. But realistically, guys, he's a really talented linebacker. And again, outside of him being a complete idiot at times, he's gonna give you good play. And not a lot of people are gonna like that, but that's just the simple truth about it. I'm throwing him. He's not reliable though. That's the thing. That's just like I'll throw him in dense, even though he's definitely more capable than that. Christian Harris is like I guess he can tackle. He's just not a guy that I'm looking forward to watch every week. But I mean, there's definitely worse guys there. Is this Jake Hansen? I think who's next. I think that's I think I'm right there. Jake Hansen is shaky. He can sort of tackle. I don't know how much that's really gonna go for that. Titans guys, we got who even they got out there right now? Oh yeah, James Williams Jr. Senior and Cody Barton. My bad. Cody Barton was a Bronco last year. He's a guy I like a lot. I'm going to throw him in. He can actually cover. He's a really good linebacker. I think there's some people that are going to be like, oh, yeah, just because he had one good year, you're going to put him there. I think he deserves it, though, because like the playmaking was probably one of the more high end in the football last year, even though, again, he might not be the most reliable at times. And then we got, I don't know, Cedric Gray. Who else did I even put in here? Who are you, bro? This is Cedric Gray. Then who's this? Who we got here? That's not right. Bro, who you are? Oh, it's Otis Reese. Otis Reese is just a liability at this point. He's just not very good. I'm going to be honest, guys. Like, just no. And then Cedric Gray, for me, is going to be shaky. He's also not very good. Dre Greenlaw is going to go into big play machine. When he is healthy and he's on the field, he's one of the best linebackers in football. Pretty safe saying that. I mean, Devondre Campbell literally got cut for him. I mean, kind of tells you how good he is. And these other guys, we got Drew Sanders and who else for the Broncos? Drew Sanders and Alex Singleton. Alex Singleton is brutally boring to watch, but he's a reliable player. And Drew Sanders has a lot of work on, but I'm putting him in dense because of how athletic he is. And when he is on the field, he should be a good player. Oh, is it? Yeah, I think I put Drew Sanders. Or Justin Strand? Justin Strand's a solid player, too. They got good depth linebacker there. But for the Chargers now, this is Daiyan Henley, if I'm not mistaken. Daiyan Henley's got to go in there. He can actually cover it because he can. Again, coming out of the draft from Washington State with him, I'm like, there might not be again much of Daiyan Henley as in terms of on film, like in terms of like just huge like absurd plays, but he's gonna cover guys. He's gonna be able to get downfield and make plays. That's what he's gonna be able to do, and that is something that a lot of teams just straight up need. Denzel Perryman, I'm gonna put him in dense. He's a decent enough run defender to kind of deserve that, but again, he's just not really much in coverage. Junior Colson has been I think this is Junior Colson. He has been a massive disappointment. He's going shaky though because he at least can wrap up most of the time, but there are plays where that isn't really the case, and I think this is Troy Dye. He is also shaky. He's not as bad as Junior Colson at times, but at the same time, like I said, he can't really cover either. For the Chiefs, we got Leo Chanel, Drew Tranquil, and Nick Bolton. I don't even know who else is on there. Oh, I think we got Jack Cochran, right? Or who is this? KJ Britt, that's who they signed. KJ Britt had a rough season. At the beginning, he looked like he could swim, but I honestly think I'll put him in. But then he kind of sank. I'll put him in. He can actually tackle though, because I think that is the one part of his game that I'm pretty confident in. Everything else is kind of up in the air, but like, at least you can do that, bro. Drew Tranquil is a reliable linebacker. He's been for a little bit now, but there are games where he isn't the greatest. Nick Bolton is probably gonna go there, and then we'll put Leo Chanel in big play machine because he was probably overall the highest graded linebacker last year on PFF, if I'm not mistaken, for his position, as well as the fact that he simply rarely makes mistakes. Pretty simple there, and the fact that again also he's able to put on top of that forcing quarterbacks to make other throws that end up in turnovers, which isn't really I guess directly to him, is huge. As again, like I said, Nick Bolton again is just the fact that he's not as good in coverage as Leo Chanel, and Leo Chanel is a much more explosive and dynamic player than a guy like Drew Tranquil, who's really just kind of bare bones in a little bit of ways, but he's still very good, obviously. Now we go over to the Browns. My bad. The Raiders. There we go. Akeem Davis Gaither, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, this is Jermaine Pratt. Jermaine Pratt is dense. He's a solid linebacker. He'll do his job. Not much more to his game. Contract dispute. I mean, they didn't want to pay him. Kind of like makes sense. I wouldn't want to pay him either. I don't know who this is, though. I don't know if he even starting. No, this is Landon Roberts. Landon Roberts is probably going to go in dense right now. No, he can probably just go and he can tackle. He's just not good in coverage. He mixes a lot of tackles. He's just not a guy that I'm really looking forward to watch at this point in his career. He's older. Not really doesn't have the same pop, but he's still not a fun guy to, like, again, if you're running back, you don't want to run into him. But that's really about it there. Devin White is shaky. He's been a bad player for a couple of years now. Yeah, and again, you don't really want him to play being out there too much. And I think this is Tommy Eichenberger, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is. Tommy Eichenberger, I actually think I'm gonna put him. He can tackle because I don't think his coverage will really improve enough to actually be worthwhile at starting consistently as a rookie. But he's gonna get the shot to do it, and I think he'll be able to at least be a decent enough player. At least we'll see what happens with that. Who else do we have for the Commanders? We got their two star linebackers. Then who else? Von Miller. Okay. Jacob. I think we're just gonna say this is Jacob Martin. Jacob Martin for me. This is Frankie Luva, right? I'm actually a brick, bro. We have obviously know that's Bobby Wagner next to him, but yeah, it's Frankie Luvu. My bad. Frankie Luvu is a big play machine, and so is Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner is not a limitless guy because again, he's never really been fantastic in coverage, and again, he's like 33 now, guys. He's not that guy, but at the same time, he's still making enough plays to earn himself into this tier, and obviously Frankie Luvu goes here as well because he's literally just probably the biggest playmaker at linebacker in football. Again, he's just a magnet at making plays. I'm going to say this is Jacob Martin. He's shaky. He's not a terrible guy, but he just hasn't gotten enough playing time, as well as the fact that he misses a lot of tackles for my liking as well. But like I said, these two guys, they're two of the best linebackers in football. We all know that. Cowboys, Kenneth Murray, he can tackle. Again, he's not the end of the world. You can play him, but he's not great. Outside of that, though, again, this is a really fun group to talk about. We have Maurice Luafau, who I think this is, if I'm not mistaken. And then we also have, Jack Sanborn. He is dense. He's a solid player, just a straight-up footballer, to be honest with you. There's not really much else to his game. I think, what do we got? Damone Clark, even? I'm just going to say, no, this is Damone Clark, right? No, this might be. This is just a straight-up guessing game at this point with some of these guys. That's Maurice Luafau. All right. Damone Clark, for me, was coming off a pretty bad year. I'm still putting him in Nathan tackle because he's still, I think, reliable enough to go there, but his coverage was a lot worse than it was the year before he got injured, 2023. And also, I really liked how he played that year, but again, last year just wasn't even anything close. This is the guy they drafted. Who is it? Is it Barron? Yeah, UDFA Barron. I don't know. I don't think I put him here. Did I? I might have. No, Shamar James. Shamar James, I was pretty disappointed watching on tape, even though I had a lot of high expectations. I'm gonna put him in shade. No, again, he'd probably say nobody knows. He won't get the playing time, really, to be honest. There. DeMarvion Overshown was an absolute just monster last year before he completely obliterated his knee. So that definitely takes something off of it. But I don't put him in they can actually cover for now because of how just big of an impact he made for that defense in like a role that was like basically whatever he wanted to do. Pretty crazy he was able to succeed like that. But he is that good, so I expect him to shoot in the top 10 this year if he can, if he again his recovery is going well. Maurice Leofau, he's dense. He's a solid linebacker. He did a decent job in starting job last year. But at the same time, again, he's definitely a guy who can explain coverage. Zach Bond, obviously the top tier. He was the best, definitely the best linebacker in football performance last year. Really wasn't even close. Insane breakout from him. No one expected that. Again, I'm not acting like him himself is like the absolute best linebacker in football, but he definitely played like it last year. Nakobe Dean, and who's the other guy they got? I think they just threw someone out there. Who was it? Yeah, I think Jeremiah Trotter and Jahad Campbell. I don't know. Do they have someone else I'm just not smell modded to? I don't know. I think I just threw all those guys in there. I don't know for sure though. But for Nakobe Dean, he's gonna go and he can actually cover because that's really what he is. He's one of those linebackers again, like I said with Jalen Henley. He can actually cover. Yes, he's kind of a weakling, I guess, against the run. Not really, but that's part of his game. But his coverage, I understand his grades have been worse because he hasn't really been as aggressive or as instinctive. But in zone coverage, very responsible. In man coverage, he has that capability. I would like to see him play better, though, but that's definitely just a straight up, it's a part of his game. Jeremiah Trotter, for me, is going to go and he can tackle because that's what we saw at him last year. Really nothing much. Again, kind of just a boring tape from him, but again, it works. Jahad Campbell, for me as a rookie, I think he'll be dense. He's going to make his mistakes. He's going to grow, but I think there is definitely a point where, again, Zach Bond looks like 50. He could definitely take. I'm not saying anything from Zach Bond, but like he could definitely take his snaps. I could definitely see that in the I wouldn't say near distant future is probably the best way to put it. Going over the Giants now, who we have? Bobby Okereke. He's going to go in. Yeah, he can actually cover. He's a really good linebacker. And then we got Micah McFadden, who can basically just tackle at this point. Tremaine Edmonds is kind of all over the place, but he can actually cover too, so he belongs there, even though he makes a lot of mistakes as well. Demetrius, no, this is Demetrius. This is Ruben Hybolite, and this is T.J. Edwards. I think it is. T.J. Edwards, for me, is going to go unreliable. He's a solid player. Against the run, he is sometimes caught up in a little bit of a bad situation because he isn't the fastest guy. But when he's able to, get in some favorable matchups and coverage, he usually dominates those. And he's also a guy who rarely, again, misses tackles outside of, again, the once in a while, again, getting blown by. Because, again, he's not the fastest dude in the world. Ruben Hyperlight is a liability. He is not a guy that I graded really well at whatsoever. And the fact that he might even get a chance to start this year, if I'm not mistaken, is a little bit of a scary situation. We go over the Bears. Yeah, because isn't he still in the starting lineup? Yeah, you bet. That's a little bit crazy. Noah Sewell is also going to go there because he hasn't been any better. Just a disappointment, to be honest with you guys. Goes to Oregon in 2022. He had a great year. 2023 kind of sucked, and then it was one of those 2 years. And then when he came to the NFL, it kind of just hasn't really done much, and not really surprised, to be honest with you guys. I thought higher things from him, but it really hasn't happened. Alexander Dillon, prototypical reliable linebacker. Definitely some limitations in coverage, but outside of that, there's really not much else to it. Jack Campbell, I think, will actually throw him in big play machine. He was really good last year. He was really the only guy in that linebacker room that could really do much of anything. Again, and he really kind of just wasn't able to do what I think he can do. And I was expecting a massive year from him. First team All-Pro even, if he can really do that. I think he can. Outside of that, though, who do we have? Derek Barnes, maybe? The Lions linebacker room. What happened to James Houston? I'm going on a side quest right here. But didn't he sign with someone? Yeah, he went with the Cowboys. I could have put him in my thing, but I don't think so. He hasn't really played much at all. We got Derek Barnes. I think we got Ezekiel Turney maybe. Derek Barnes is okay, but he can't really cover whatsoever, and even then, he's a little bit shaky. I don't even know who else they put here. Maybe Grant Stewart. Someone, and it doesn't really matter. They can all tackle. No, they're shaky, to say the least. Outside that, though, moving over to the Packers, we got Quay Walker to start off with, if I'm not mistaken. Then we have Edgerrin Cooper, and then we got Isaiah Simmons, who I think is on the Vikings now. No, I think he's on the Steelers. Quay Walker is dense. I think he deserves to go here because he is at least going to give you somewhat decent play against the run. That's really the extent of it because he's just kind of undisciplined in coverage, not always the most engaged, and can get exploited at times as well. So I think he belongs here because, again, like I said, he will give you okay run defense, but outside of that, it's like a little bit of like a mixed bag. Edgerrin Cooper, I'm going to put in... He wasn't that much better than Quay Walker, but at the same time, he's obviously a better player. I'm not going to put him reliable, though, because he had a lot of issues last year. But at the same time, he played definitely better than Quay Walker again. Solid rookie season. Isaiah Simmons, I guess he can tackle. I don't know. He doesn't get consistent playing time because he's not a consistent player, and he's just not really that good. No one knows what he plays. I'm probably just gonna honestly just put him here, because no one really knows what's going on with him. Vikings, we got an interesting thing going on. We got Ivan Pace Jr., who I like a lot, and then Blake Cashman. Ivan Pace, for me at the moment, is going to go unreliable. He had a really nice end of last season, and I think, again, the fact that he's somewhat gotten better in coverage, especially in those man situations at the end of the season, which Brian Flores really started to trust him, was interesting. And you got Blake Cashman, who's going to go in, he can actually cover. Isn't dynamic enough for me to put him in this tier. He's close, but not really there yet. And I don't think he has the same athletic gifts as a guy like Leo Chanel or the same capabilities to go in there either. This is Eric Wilson. He can tackle. Solid depth guy. Not much more. I think this is Anthony Walker. He's old. He can also tackle. Delonte David, he's going to go in big play machine. He's still one of the best linebackers in football. Deion Jones is shaky. I'm not going to put him as a liability because I don't really think he's that bad, but he's definitely not good. That's for sure at this point in his career. Who do we got here? Caden Ellis. Caden Ellis, to me, is just kind of a brutally average guy. I've never been blown away by his play. The fact that last year he was just kind of below average most of the season, it's just not really, I'm not moved to move him anywhere else. Now we'll go over to the other guys. Divine Diablo, he's on this guy team now. He's actually pretty good, but he doesn't really have the tape to really warrant being reliable just because he doesn't really get put in those situations from what I've seen so far in his career. And then we got Luke Gifford, who I guess honestly is liability. He was completely horrible last year. All right, I think we're now on the Panthers. Who do we have here? Nate Landman, maybe? I don't know. No, Troy Anderson. I love Troy Anderson. He has so much talent, but he hasn't done anything, cannot stay healthy, so he's going to be in no one knows. He played a good amount last year, though. Christian Roseboom, he's going to go and he can tackle. He wasn't really great for the Rams last year. I like what he did, but, let's be honest, guys, he's not very good. Josie Jewell, for me, is going to go unreliable. He's a very solid player. What do you got? Pete Warner. Who's this? And obviously Demario Davis we'll get to in a minute. Danny Stutzman. All right, there we go. Pete Warner, for me, is going to go in dense. He's a solid player, but I just don't really see the big picture with him. Just because, again, there's a lot of limitations to him. Demario Davis, obviously, he will go in big play machines. Most of the time in coverage, he's going out there to try to make a play. It's not really always to make his defense in the best position, but he's always putting himself in the best position to help out the defense. I don't know. It's weird with Demario, but he's obviously amazing. We all know that. Danny Stutzman, even though, again, he's 40 and definitely has lost 3 steps. Stutzman, I think, is a shaky linebacker at this point in his career. Again, as a rookie. And, again, I don't really see him having any sort of huge impact. We'll see what happens, though. And then this is Jalen Ford. Jalen Ford, I think, is going to be a liability. I'm sorry. I like this dude. Again, his really good personality, really hard worker. But, again, his just physically isn't really – I think it's going to be a rough rookie season, to be honest with you guys. I think we already went through Akeem Davis-Gaither, right? I think that was supposed to – no, it's Jermaine correct. Akeem Davis-Gaither, for me, is just an average guy, to be honest with you. Doesn't really give you much outside of maybe a decent tackle once in a while, but that's really about it. Mac Wilson's going to end up in dense. He's a decent linebacker. And then who's this last guy? Who do we got here? Baron Browning, maybe? Yeah, I'm just going to throw this at Baron Browning. He's so versatile and dynamic a linebacker, but again, there's only so much blitzing you can get out of a guy before you're like, can he actually cover? So I'm going to put him in as a linebacker, probably unreliable, even though he's more dynamic guy. Fred Warner, still best linebacker in the league. He's the only guy who can cover slots consistently. Just an absolutely insane capability by him. And then I think we got D. Winters. I like a lot. I want to put him up here, but realistically, he's probably right down here for now, especially after last year's performance. Outside of that, though, we have who? That was Luke Gifford. I think that was Givens, whatever his name is. He's going to go here. Yeah, but Luke Gifford's not very good. And then this last guy, I don't even know. It's not Oren Burks. It's this is D. Winters. Then who's the other guy for the 49ers? Well, we'll ignore the faces. Not Luke Gifford. Nick Martin, maybe? I think the other guy's Nick Martin. I like Nick Martin a lot, but at the same time, he doesn't really know much more than Captain. All right, Rams guys. Omar Speights is going to go in dense. He's a really solid run defender who I think is going to have a really solid year in that part of his game, but he is not good in coverage. I don't know if he'll ever be good enough to really be considered there. But I think, again, if he can continue to impact, again, against the run and also really do a good job with gap control as he continues to kind of adjust there, that'll be a huge part in him becoming better. Nate Landman's kind of just an average linebacker for me. I think he definitely has more coverage capability, but, after really rewatching his tape, probably doesn't deserve that. But low-key, I'm just going to throw him in here because, like, consistency-wise, he's definitely better than most of these other guys. Troy Reader is shaky. We all know that. Chris Paul, I think, is a rookie. We really don't know what to see out of him. And then for the Seahawks, they've got, what's his name? They obviously have Ernest Jones, and I don't know who the other guy is for them. Sorry, with the face thing there. We got Tyrese Knight. Tyrese Knight isn't the worst guy to have, but I don't think he is all that, which some people think. And then Ernest Jones is going to go in. He can actually cover. He probably, you could argue he's a big play machine, but I don't really know if he's truly that tier. And to be honest, guys, these top 4 guys, the fact that, again, really separates them is the fact that they consistently make huge plays. And then these guys, they also make big plays, but they're not as reliable overall or as, like, they're a little bit more dependent on what's going on around them. With that said, though, this is my linebacker tier list. If you have any opinions and stuff, yeah, comment section below. And again, if you're pissed about anything, really definitely suggest doing that as well. Or, you know, forever hold your peace. That's all I got there. And, yeah, we got some fun offensive positions to get through next.
In the game. And in the middle, Jackson for his tight end, brought in by Mark Andrews, who escapes and goes all the way for the touchdown. 68 yards, rookie to rookie, and the Ravens retake the lead.
Big time throw as well. See Mark Andrews right here, just running a deep over. And look at the ball. Once again, we've seen it twice tonight. Up and over the linebacker. Great touch. Right in the red.